We're now going to look more at the fallout of the death of Kim Jong-il. With me, Rod Lyon from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. Rod, Program Director of Strategy and International Affairs at ASPI. Rod Lyon, thanks for your time. Tell me, we've seen the image of Kim Jong-un paying respects for the body of his father lying in state in Pyongyang. There's still a lot of doubt, isn't there, as to whether that succession will stick?
We're seeing the North Korean elite go through the formalities of mourning here. And we're all starting to look for early clues about what comes afterwards. So far, Kim Jong-un's leadership of both the funeral committee and his designation as the successor, even the terminology the North Koreans are starting to use about him, that he is yet another leader sent from heaven, all these things are meant to give a sense of the stable transition that both North Korea itself and its neighbours are looking for. Okay,
so you would think at this stage it's most likely that the son is the heir apparent. We know he's the heir apparent, but that succession will stick, won't be undermined by others, including his brother-in-law or the military, or in fact his aunt and uncle are very much big power brokers. It's all about the family there, isn't it, in Pyongyang?
Yes, and I think it's too early to judge about whether the succession sticks. I give the succession about an 80% chance of sticking because Kim Jong-un's strongest patron was his dad, and his dad is no longer on the scene. Had his dad lived another year or two, giving the younger Kim longer to get his feet under the desk, then you'd be more confident that you were looking at a succession that had momentum and impetus behind it, and there were solid officials locking in the key transition. And you can't be fully confident of that yet.
Okay, what about the role that China might play, the biggest donor by a long, long way, and the historical links, of course, as well? Do people overplay the hand that China might the influence that China might have on this new regime?
I think you're identifying the strongest external player in the transition. And China will have better inroads into many parts of the North Korean government and into party officials and into key identities than we do. But whether that means China's going to shape the outcome, I think I disagree on that. The outcome is going to be shaped inside Korea itself.
It's amazing how little the international intelligence community knows about North Korea. How worried should we be about its estimated, I think it's 10 nuclear warheads? Or more?
Well, let me tackle that as two separate questions. The first thing is we know very little about North Korea because North Korea is a personality cult government. And where you have personality cults, there's nothing to know other than the personality of the key leader. In a communist system, leaders usually derive their strength from the party and then from the military. Kim Jong-il derived his main strength from heaven. And it looks like the new leader will try and do the same. On the nuclear side, we don't know they have any warheads, Kieran, to be honest. We know they've separated the plutonium that would let them make perhaps 8 warheads because they used enough plutonium for 2 warheads in their tests. So they've got plutonium enough to make 8. But neither of the tests went off very well. They gave very low yields. So there's still a question over whether they can make a working warhead in the sense that would actually make a weapons designer glow with pride.
Okay. When you look at, you spoke about this being a personality cult, this government, or that the Kim Jong-il leadership, and I suppose we can assume his successor as well. When you see the images of the people mourning on the streets, it's hard to know whether it's legitimate, state-controlled, state-imposed, propaganda. What do you think of those images? They are bizarre.
They are bizarre, and I think there's a little of both. I think there is a measure of genuine regret because the passage of leaders. And look, North Korea as a country has had only 2, right? It's had only 2 leaders since its creation as a country. So the passage of long-lived leaders always engenders some measure of genuine regret and mourning by a people. But there's a degree, I think, here also of regimentation. And you can see it almost in the waves of people going up to pay their respects at the glass-encased body. There's a degree of regimentation that sits alongside that. Separating the two is getting to be quite hard.
Yeah, it certainly is A fascinating nation to observe, and so hard to predict at every level. But we appreciate your insights this morning, Rod Lyon, from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. Thanks a lot for that.
Thanks, Kieran.